Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Thursday edition of the Computer America Show, our pre-show that we do here with our live video streaming page. Two very interesting guests this hour. In the first hour, we're going to have SpeechTrans, and then in the second hour, we're going to have giftcards.com, talking about making special kind of credit cards that you can do to buy gifts. So we're going to have both those guests on, and so kind of sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and we'll be starting momentarily. Okay, and here we go. 15 seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your host, Ben.
And welcome into a Thursday edition of the Computer America Show. Hopefully all of you had a nice day and are kind of just settling into the dulcet tones of myself and my co-hosts as we...
Oh, yeah, dulcet. Yeah, that's us. We're dulcet.
Exactly. As we get the show started. We have
I mean, we're no NPR, but yeah, we're soothing to a point. You could leave us alone with your dogs, and they would not tear up your couch.
No, they would not. Maybe the chair, but not the couch. Yes. So we are. So we have two interesting guests tonight in the second hour. Giftcards.com is scheduled to be on the show, and they make cards that you can give as gifts, but they're a little bit different than when you'd go into a store. I mean, you can get gift cards for just about any store that's out there, and we're going to have one of their spokesperson talking about it. Shelly Hunter is going to be here. She's called the Gift Card Girlfriend. She's a spokesperson for giftcards.com. She'll be joining us in the second hour. And in this first hour, we're going to be talking about speech translation. Is the universal translator from Star Trek finally a reality? How long have we been waiting for that? I know it's pretty darn close. I downloaded a speech translator just the other day from Google, and it was spooky how accurate it was. I mean, you know.
It may not fool anyone into thinking you're a native, but for communication purposes, speech translation has come along, or is coming a long way.
I mean, I set it to teenager, and I was able to communicate with teenagers, no problem. It translated everything really well.
What's up, dude? What's up?
That's right, exactly.
Let's go down to the soda fountain and get some pop.
Yeah, SpeechTrans is here with us in the first hour. We're going to be talking about the technology of speech translation and where it is today. They were actually with us here, 5 years ago on the show? I don't know if you were with me. Were you?
4 years. Yeah, it was 4 years ago. Oh yeah.
You were here. Okay, so they're back to tell us about all the different improvements and things that they're doing. So
we invite all of our guests to come back and tell us how they're doing a couple months down the road, and yet we don't get around to it until 4 years.
4 years.
What's wrong with us?
We have a busy calendar. What can I say? If you have a comment or a question or a suggestion for anything that we're talking about, and you want to speak to our guests, give us a call. 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. That'll get you on and get you through. We have a special email inbox set up when we're live and on the air. It is live, L-I-V-E, at ComputerAmerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive chat room from our homepage at ComputerAmerica.com. Just click the chat room /video button, and you'll take you to a split screen. On the left-hand side, there's an entry form for you to come into the chat room. You put in a username. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. Click the connect button, and you're in. It's just that simple. Love to see you in there. Come on and join us. The water's fine. And also sharing that same screen on the right-hand side is our live Computer America video streaming page. That's right. Not only can you listen to the Computer America show, you can now watch us as well. You can listen to us. You can see me, Ben. Sometimes you'll see our guests or demonstrations, whatever. Come on in. When you go there, the video will start up automatically. You don't need to do anything. It's completely, hands-free. So all the different ways you can communicate with us and listen to the live Computer America show. Anything else you want to mention before we get started, Ben?
No. I think we've kept our guests waiting in the wings long enough.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get started now. Tonight we're going to be taking a closer look, as I said, at the technology of speech translation. And is the universal translator from Star Trek finally becoming a reality? I mean, being able to translate one language to another is one thing, but to be able to do it in real time, for real-time person-to-person translation, says some interesting hurdles that have to be overcome. And our guest tonight is with a company called SpeechTrans, which they say is the world's most advanced speech-to-speech translator. Now, by incorporating the latest speech-to-speech translation software, automatic speech recognition, language translation, and text-to-speech, SpeechTrans enables users to have a complete conversation with anyone in the world speaking any language. Now, joining us tonight in this first hour is Jan Arbeck. Jan is the Chief Operations Officer for SpeechTrans Translation. Jan, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Hi, Craig. Hi, Ben. Thank you for having me here again. And
yes,
like you said, it's been 4 years, but it's couldn't come soon enough. And it's a pleasure to be on your show again. I really enjoy listening in as well.
And thank you so much for being with us here tonight.
Yeah, and by the way, if you can actually recall, where were you guys at? With the company, like, did you just start your company 4 years ago? Where were you guys at 4 years ago?
So we started the company just over 5 years ago, and we initially launched it to be a consumer-facing app that was going to be on iTunes, and it was going to be more of a lifestyle business for myself and my business partner. But within 6 months of launching the product, going on your show, we were at the Pentagon presenting to the military.
Wow.
We were contacted by Hewlett-Packard and Intel, and we were quickly thrown into the enterprise needing the speech-to-speech translation technology, as that quickly turned into our focus as we pivoted and made sure that the capabilities are enterprise ready from the get-go. So it's no longer just a consumer app. It's something that's an actual tool that's being used every day in the field to save people's lives, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a police officer. SpeechTrans is there and able to communicate efficiently.
You see, just one appearance on Computer America, and look how the doors open for you. Okay,
And the government's after you.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that things are working out for you. So why don't we just start the program off by my asking you a little bit about SpeechTrans and how does it work?
Sure. So SpeechTrans, it's a speech-to-speech translation company. We're a software as a service company. We provide all of our software for free for customers to try out, and it enables language translation in over 44 different languages. You just begin speaking into your computer or your telephone, and anything that you said in one language will be spoken back in the other language at about 85 to 95% accuracy level, depending on which language pair you've selected. We also have a network of over 20,000 live interpreters that we can add to any conversation so that we can guarantee 100% accuracy for enterprise-grade solutions, so that we can provide a full-service solution to medical facilities and to law firms and enterprise companies such as HP.
Yeah, because as I'm sure you're very aware, and maybe many people are aware of too, that translation is not necessarily word for word. Sometimes there are so many different meanings in one language that may not translate well going into another language. There might be some colloquialisms or expressions that don't translate well.
Just from learning German, and like one of the first things they teach you is how are you? It's wie geht es Ihnen? And that literally translates to how is BU. And if someone comes at you saying how is BU, you're just gonna look at them like, what? So
Yeah, I was
it,
over in
it,
London last week for the Best Western conference, and we actually have a kiosk that we're promoting to the Best Western hotels so that the customers can walk in and check in any language. And there was someone doing a test of the technology, and they spoke, and the translation that I said, it didn't actually get the date correctly. I said today is, February 3rd, 2015, and it was actually translated it correctly, but the way that they say the date in that country, you first say, the day, then you say the month, as opposed to saying the month and then the day. So while you could get a correct translation, it could still be misrepresented to the other person. So it's a very difficult problem to solve. Language translation is one of the oldest problems in the world. It's been around since the Tower of Babel and before that. So it is a problem that can be solved with a combination of both technology and crowdsourcing. And what we do is we offer a hybrid solution because we know that machine translation isn't there yet, but we think that it can get you far enough to get the point across, and then with the assistance of the live interpreters as a backup, we can provide a solution that doesn't have to wait 20 or 30 years for the technology to be advanced enough to use it in the field. We can use it now. We can make decisions now and be able to practically apply it in the real world, saving lives and cost cutting.
Well, in English you can say it's February 26th or it's the 26th of February. Either way works, but you're saying in that particular language you could only do it one way?
Yeah, so I forget what language it was, but you would pronounce the month later after the day and then the year. So there's different ways that you can do it. One other example that I can show it's a little more clear is if you say this is cool in Google Translate and translate that into Mandarin, it will actually translate this is cold. And that's not at all what you meant to say. So the problem with that is, statistical machine translation can only go so far. You need the translation memories, and what we do is we partner with all of the local companies in each country that deal with localizing and translating their individual dialects, so that way we can provide the highest level of accuracy for each language pair. And then we implement something called reverse translation, so that even if you're not bilingual, you can still verify that you actually said this is cool by translating it backwards, and then if you see that cool was cold, you can get an alternate translation so that you can make it 100% accurate. But it's a time versus speed trade-off, as with everything else in life. There's always a trade-off.
Well, and by saying something, this is cool, in English, perhaps maybe in another language, it's an expression of the phrase "cool." There's no way to really translate it, or they don't have something that's the counter to it, or maybe something close to it, But because by saying, "Hey, that's really cool,"
I need to practice my English better. That was what it.
Yeah. Exactly. You would have to, I'm sure there are examples of where there's just no direct translation or meaning in a particular language, because and truly I would think translation is more of an art form than it is in a science, really.
Although I can't imagine that the way you talk to a translating system has to be different than you talk to, say, someone you know from home, your friend that you've known for a long time. I mean, I wouldn't talk to someone using a translator, and maybe they were in like Mexico, and I'd say this is dope, and then all of a sudden I'm part of a drug deal. Like you kind of have to tailor what you're going to say to to the translator itself. You talk to it a different way than you would someone else.
Yeah, and the way that our interpreter works, it's semi-real time. So what that means is just as if there's a live interpreter in the room with you, you speak, then the interpreter listens to what you said, they then speak the translation to the other person speaks back, the interpreter listens to what they said and then speaks it back to you. So our software gets rid of that middleman, but even when you still have the interpreter added in, and this is why the military is very interested in our technology, we can still continue to do the machine automatic translation even when the interpreter is added to the call to do reverse translation. So there was a problem for a long time in the government and using interpreters for espionage because they weren't actually translating what you had intended to say. If you said the sky is blue, you have no way of knowing that he said the sky is blue. He could have said the sky is orange. But with machine translation simultaneously doing that, we're able to foolproof even live interpreters to make sure that the reverse translation is happening, so you could verify that your point is getting across 100%. So
and even with
there's actually
even with live translators, though, you have a problem. I mean, did you see the movie Lost in Translation with Bill Murray, by any chance? Did you see that, Jan? The movie?
No, I didn't catch that.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to find it after this on Netflix.
Yeah. It's
it's on there actually.
On Netflix. You should watch it. It's a very funny. It's a very good movie. But there's a scene in there where Bill Murray's in Japan and he has a translator with her, and he's doing a photo shoot, and the professional photographer starts talking to him and explains, and he's talking and talking, and he talks like for about a minute and a half, and then the translator looks at him. She says, he wants you to turn left. And then Bill says, he didn't he say more than that, you know? And they did it a couple of times. He had this long thing, and they say, you know, no, hold the glass higher. He must have said more, you know. So things can get lost in translation, literally. I mean, just because you have a translator doesn't mean you're getting a blow-by-blow account. Isn't that correct? Would you agree?
Yeah, and I mean, I use this example all the time, and we have to travel globally pretty often with SpeechTrans, and we go to all the trade shows. So I was in Barcelona about 2 months ago. I had to do a presentation in front of 400 people. It was the biggest presentation I ever did, and talking about big data analytics and how we use that in machine translation. But on the way from the airport to the hotel, I was talking to the taxi driver, and I was asking him questions and having a normal conversation, and his answers to me were normal, like yes, no.
Yeah.
And then I asked him, what is some good nightlife around here? And his answer to me was 12:35 p.m. He thought I asked him what time it meant. So he had no idea what I was saying the whole time.
The whole time.
And he was pretending that he understood me. So then I took out my wristband, because we actually have hardware that goes along with our app that you wear on your wrist.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're traveling and you don't want to give your phone to a stranger, you just speak into this wristband, and it's actually our top-selling item right now on our website, SpeechTrans.com. And basically, it's kind of like the Dick Tracy watch. You get to speak into it in one language, it speaks aloud in the other language. So I asked the cab driver again, what's some good nightlife, right in the wristband, and he gave me the answer, you should go to Club Opium. And the next night I was having dinner with HP, and they're like, oh, we're going dancing on Wednesday to Club Opium, would you like to come? And they said, I said, yeah, the cab driver told me I was going to go there anyway. So it really does work, and you'd be surprised at some of the...
You should have asked the cab driver, why were you pretending to understand what I'm saying?
Oh, don't grill the poor man. He's just trying to get a tip.
I'm not sure if I would have ever made it to my hotel if I did that.
No, but
beautiful city, and it definitely helps to be able to have that confidence and that tool right on your wrist to know that you can communicate with anyone, anywhere, at any time.
And I want to get into that, the device too, but
I mean, if anything, the example of the cab driver who pretended to know what you were saying, I mean, that just kind of highlights the need for real-time translations. When you travel abroad and you only know one language, or maybe you just perhaps don't know the native language, so many times you're just kind of floating through the city, not knowing what you're doing, not knowing where to go or anything like that, and you're asking people, and they're just nodding their head, yes, yes, you know, because they might want a tip from you, or they just want you to go away, or something like that. It just, the language barrier is so very obvious that they just, you know, so much is lost. So with real-time translation, you wouldn't know about that club, and then and that kind of thing. So I could see how real-time translation for something like an active traveler will just be a dream come true.
Yeah.
And what we do is we're constantly listening to our customers, and they're our, you know, also our number one sales force, and they help drive our development roadmap. So, for example, not only when you're traveling abroad do we offer speech-to-speech translation, but we also offer optical character recognition and translation. So you could read the sign, you could read the menu. I can't even tell you, when I was in China, I went to school for international business, and I was trying to read the menu this was before we had SpeechTrans, and I ended up eating something that I never should have. And basically, this can prevent that from happening. You just take a picture of the menu, and it'll translate the menu and speak it back to you. So you can translate your thoughts, you can translate photos. We also have a built-in flight tracker and a currency converter. So any tool that you need while traveling, you can access with the SpeechTrans application.
No, that is amazing. Now, you actually license the technology to different companies to do this. Is that how it works?
Correct. So when we first launched, we were initially just an app, and then recently we did a pivot to become a company. So the difference between an app and a company is a couple things. It's first, having a recurring revenue business model. So every one of our services is subscription as a service, and this allows us to keep improving the translation accuracy and our back-end servers and provide the best level of support for our customers. And then the second part of it is being able to white label or sub-license our technologies to other companies that want to use it. So if anyone wants to add voice recognition in 44 languages, text-to-text translation, or text-to-speech, they can simply use what's known as the SpeechTrans API or application interface, and within 15 minutes you could enable voice translation right within your own application. And the first company to do that was actually 3 years ago. I was on Fox News and I did a demonstration. The director of HP saw the video. Director of HP's personal systems group woke his wife up at 11 o'clock at night, downloaded our application, and said, "Hey, honey, you got to speak into this in Spanish." And she spoke into it. It translated perfectly into English. The next day, he called me up and said, "We need to do business together, but we don't want to do it as a SpeechTrans brand. We want to do it under the HP brand. So can you license this to us?" So we built it out as an API first, specifically for HP, and then we opened it up to everyone else. So now we're going to be on 10 million HP devices. We're going to be on 40 million Intel devices, and they're seeing this, kind of what we saw 5 years ago, that, like you said, Ben, every single device, every computer, telephone should have a speech-to-speech translator on it, similar to how it has a calendar or a calculator. Because communication, barriers, they don't need to exist anymore, and we've created the technology to remove them.
Yeah, that is a really amazing how it works now, and so you licensed this to HP and to Intel, as you mentioned, a couple of companies. I know there's some other ones, Google just came out with their Google Translate. I mean, are they a competitor to yours?
No, I'm actually wearing my Google glasses right now. We look at this translation space not as a competitive landscape, but as an opportunity to collaborate. It's such a massive market. $150 billion a year is going to be spent on translation by 2020. Right now, $34 billion was spent last year, and basically, we're not competing with Google. We're working together with them to build our API on the Google glasses, which is being focused on enterprise, which is exactly what our target market is, so that you can do remote support and do it in any language with SpeechTrans. But we also have Microsoft, who's coming out with the Skype translator.
Yes.
They've been working with us since 2011, and they've actually funded, and their engineers helped program our application. So we've been partially funded by Microsoft. We're Microsoft Managed Partners, which is the highest level of partnership. And again, we look at this as a collaborative way where we can add value, and we're going to integrate into Skype, as it's going to be another plug-in into our chat network, because we already have a chat network that does translation on all the other social media sites. So we're going to be adding Skype in there as well, plus our ability to do the photo translation, the speech-to-speech in-person interpretation, and then we have the first and only IntelliConference service, which is going to be used by all of HP this year for their internal conference calls, where basically you can have a conference bridge, kind of like the UN, where people are dialing in and it'll simultaneously translate to each participant in their own language without needing any interpreters on the line. Plus, it'll transcribe the text on your screen so you can see the notes. You no longer need to take notes in your meetings anymore.
Yeah, I've actually been playing around a little bit with that, and it's almost like you can point to a sign or something, and you actually see the translation of the sign appear on your smartphone, and sort of like almost like overlaid, and you can see, and then when you move it away, it goes back to whatever language you originally were looking at. It's just it's a very, very cool technology, and all these services are truly working together to make your travels or communications with people who don't speak your same language a more easy and more pleasant one.
Yeah. Should people expect for native translations app or translation software like the one you have to just eventually in the next year or two just come on their new smartphones to be on their next computer, their next tablet? Like, are these just going to be as popular as calendars and everything like that?
So we just were selected by Intel as one of 15 apps that is going to get preloaded on all of their Ultrabooks, both Windows 8.1 and Android devices, so like Samsung tablets, anything that has an Intel chip will have our app preloaded on it, and it's going to come with a 1-year free trial of our software. And of course, there's upsells, so if you want to add the telephone-based translation system, that's an in-app purchase, or if you want to add our IT hosted cloud called SpeechWeb, which allows you to move your company into the cloud and then voice enable any of your applications, that's an in-app purchase. But the speech-to-speech translation part of it is free for 1 year. If you buy an Intel computer, it doesn't matter if it's made by Dell or Acer, if it's a laptop, Ultrabook, or tablet, it'll come with SpeechTrans preloaded. 40 million of them are projected to ship with our app over the next 12 months. And then an additional 10 million with HP devices. So if you buy an HP computer, there's software on there. It's like their enterprise version of Skype called HP MyRoom. And HP MyRoom did about 7 billion minutes last year. They use it for all their remote workability, and SpeechTrans is the sole speech-to-speech translation provider, and now we're also the sole conference call provider for HP MyRoom. So we can terminate the phone call, transcribe it, enable speech-to-speech translation, and really be able to take your meetings to another level.
Jonathan in the chat room, Jan wants to know, he has a Google Glass, and he wants to know if the SpeechTrans glassware is out yet, or is it available?
So you could have Jonathan email me at info@speechtrans.com, and I could send him our beta APK, which we're using for testing out Google Glass. I was just at the Best Western conference in UK last week, and we were demoing it out to the CEO of Best Western, and then he went on and went to the Telegraph, which is one of their largest newspapers, and said they want to put SpeechTrans in all their hotels. So they were pretty impressed by it. It allows you to, when you're wearing the glass, either look at a sign and it'll translate the sign, speak to someone and it'll translate your words so they can hear it from the speaker, or do a video call with anyone else that has the software installed, and then it'll translate the video call. They can share their screen so you see it on your glasses, and then it'll translate what you're saying back and forth in real time.
Yeah, I mean, again, the technology is amazing. I realize you're talking about your software, which I haven't tried yet. I have tried the Google Translate, and I have it on my iPhone. I'm pointing it at my screen to a document which is in English, and it's translated. And I'm seeing the document appear on my screen, but it's in French, and then when you move it away, it's back to English. So these technologies are really truly amazing. But let me ask you this: how many languages are you supporting at this time, Jan?
So we're supporting 44 languages. When
Wow.
we first launched back in 2010, we just had English to German. So we partner with Nuance Communications. Nuance is the developer of Dragon Naturally Speaking.
Yes.
They've been one of our very first partners early on. So what we do is we take their voice recognition. When we get it back, we actually are using the same back-end engine that Siri uses.
Huh.
So once we get the text back, we run our own natural language understanding on it. So we add another like 10 to 15% level of accuracy to their voice to text. We then translate it, doing our own text-to-text translation, and then we run another algorithm that does natural language understanding, kind of like if you've ever done a Google search, Craig, and showed you, did you mean to type this in?
Right.
If you
Yes.
got the words in the wrong order. So
Yes.
we do that, quote unquote, automagically. So that way we add an additional 15% level of accuracy to what we get back from nuance and voice, both the voice to text, and then when we translate the text to another language, because it helps reorder the words in the correct language. It's still not 100%, but we've done studies and we've seen about a 10 to 15% increase by adding our middleware into it.
And every percent that you increase is actually huge, because each one that you can get as you get closer to that 100% mark is a monumental accomplishment. And so, listen, Jan, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to continue on, all right? So just stay with us. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network, and on the Boost Radio Network. Our guest this hour is SpeechTrans. Jan Auerbach is here with us. We're going to continue on with him. He's the Chief Operations Officer for SpeechTrans. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No Hair Removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No Hair Removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Tag, you're it. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Pioneer BDP-80FD Blu-ray player. Blu-ray keeps evolving, but we don't pay enough attention to it, so we asked to get the Pioneer BDP-80FD Blu-ray player in for review. Its decoders cover most of the video and audio specs you'd expect, including 3D. Its output is HDMI and won't send signals to a non-HDCP, that's copy protection respective device, like some computer monitors. It has a USB input for playing stored video and a wired Ethernet port for playback from across a network, or YouTube, or Picasa content. What you most want to know, it's easy, mostly a no-brainer. Easy to use, and playback quality is excellent. Bottom line, a Pioneer BDP-80FD Blu-ray player handles a 2D or 3D disc, file, or stream like a dream. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour, and we are talking to SpeechTrans, Mr. Jan Auerbach, and who is the Chief Operations Officer. And we're just, honestly, I think at this point we're just gushing over real-time translation and what it's going to mean for so many people. We just mentioned that you actually support 44 different languages, and when we say support, because translating everything to and from English to 44 different languages must be one thing, but translating Mandarin to German or Swedish to Portuguese, like there are so many different combinations when you have 44 different languages. Like, what do you mean when you say you support 44 languages?
So for voice input, we support 44 languages and dialects. So that includes, for example, 2 different dialects of French, French Canadian, French from France, actually we now have 4 dialects of English. So we've got, with each accent, it requires its own separate voice model to compare it. So for example, U.S. English is different than Indian accented English.
Oh, yeah.
So we have those as 2 different languages in order to get the highest level of accuracy. But we're constantly adding additional languages, so the customers that purchased our app when it just had English to German are able to get the full 44 languages now, as long as they remain a subscriber.
Well, let me ask you this: when you say dialects, are you talking about accents? I mean, for example, when you hear
don't bring up the South, Craig. Don't bring up the South.
when you're certain, I mean, when you have Canadian and French Canadian, the words are actually different in many instances, right? It's not just how you're pronouncing the words. Is that what you mean when you say a dialect, or is it the same words? And like, for example, when you say hello from New York and you say hi y'all from the South, it's the same thing, but the words are slightly different. So what do you truly mean by dialect?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Like if you say where's the loo, no one's going to know what that means in U.S. English, but you go to London and everyone's going to point you to the restroom. So basically, it has to do both. But in order for it to start, it starts with the same text-to-text translation corpus, but then the voice-to-text is initially matched up against people just of that particular location. So even in Italy, we only have Italian, but there's different dialects of Italian within the country, even within each city. But we can still recognize all of them, because not only will it learn from the aggregate, but it learns individually from each person as well. So if they make any corrections, it gets updated to the next time they speak it again. It won't make the same mistake twice. So it is self-learning.
Are you saying it's speaker independent, or the speakers have to train? Because I know with naturally speaking, drag and dictate, you actually have to speak. It goes through a learning process. It's not truly a speaker independent. You have to train it. Is that? Are you?
No, there's no training required on our software, but it can still continue to learn from you individually based on your corrections that you've made. So it's not training where you have to first read a book like you do with drag and dictation. You can go online now. You can download SpeechTrans for your desktop, and you can just begin dictating all your emails and translating all of your voice communications without any training whatsoever.
Okay, but it's heuristic. You're saying it does learn as it goes on.
Oh yeah, it will get better over time, and it has been seen many improvements very recently, especially with the more users that are on the system. What we do is
So what you're saying is that it's learning not only for the individual speaker, but for everybody involved. So in other words, if it's learning something from me, as somebody else who's using SpeechTrans will be able to take advantage of that learning in a situation?
That's correct, and it's even to the point where if someone's using nuanced communications, voice recognition, so if someone's using Siri and they're making corrections to that, that's actually helping build up our accuracy and our engine as well. So it's based on, that's how we're able to add so many languages so quickly with a very high level of accuracy right off the bat, is because there's such a large number of users already, and that's why we're really thankful for Siri, because it's what really brought speech recognition to the forefront. And prior to that, it was seen more of a just a specialized tool. Now it can be commercialized and made available for everyone to use, and ingrained in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, no, that is a. Now, what kind of feedback are you getting? I mean, do you have some really good feedback that you've received using SpeechTrans?
Yeah, so it all kind of dates back from when I was a little kid. Initially, I I was a refugee myself. I was born in Moldova. My family came to the Bronx when I was 3 years old, and I was growing up there in elementary school. I got pulled out of class one day because there was a gentleman who was suffering from a heart attack, and I was the only person in my whole school that could speak Russian. So I actually I helped translate for the EMT, and I helped save the guy's life, and that's something that's really stuck with me.
Wow.
So now, 20 years later, when we launched SpeechTrans, one of our customers emailed us and said, hey, I'm a medic, I'm an EMT medic. I got dispatched on site. There was a gentleman suffering from a diabetic coma, and I couldn't get in touch with any translators, so I actually used your app, was able to speak to him, and I found out that he was allergic to insulin, which is the primary treatment, and it would have killed him if I didn't have your app to be able to translate and find that out. Your app saved this person's life. So those are the types of things that really motivate us and tell us that we're on the right track.
That is a great story. You would think that the guy would have had a medic alert bracelet, though, if you had that kind of condition.
But really, where do you go from there after you save someone's life? Where do you go?
I thought you were going to say, you saved this guy's life when you were, 5 or 6 years old. Then you heard from that guy as an adult. He said, "Yeah, I'm the one that life you saved." But but the other one's
no. I mean, it came back in a different way. But now I could be doing it. Thousands of doctors are using our service, and
that's wonderful.
Every day I'm doing that.
That's a wonderful story, and I'm sure you must find that extremely gratifying, and it's such a validation. So that's really terrific, Jan. It really is. So we got a little bit of your story and what this and some good feedback. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you? I mean, things are changing so rapidly now, but where do you see SpeechTrans in the next 5 years?
So this is something that I was asked at the HP Discover event where I did that presentation I was mentioning earlier in front of 400 people, and they said, where do you see technology going 20 years from now?
Whoa.
And it's a similar answer. I think that right now you can communicate with your computer devices either by your keyboard, mouse, speech recognition, or touch. I think within 20 years, or honestly I think it's much sooner than that, you'll be able to manipulate all of your computer devices directly through your thoughts. So you'll be able to think your thoughts, and then that will translate into actions. So that was what I said at HP Discover. This was about 8 months ago in Vegas. And when I got back to the office, I started thinking, well, the old saying goes, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. So I went ahead and I ordered this EEG Bluetooth device that connects to our phone, and I had our programmers write a sample application so that you could actually speak in just by using your thoughts. So EEG technology has been around for 50 years. It's never been used in this way, but now through wearable technology and APIs, you're actually able to take something that was going to be 20 years away, and we built it in 6 months, and now we're able to communicate and talk just by thinking, just by blinking your eyes, and then you can navigate any computer device. So we're able to already have that working today, not 20 years from now, but it will be more accepted for the late adopters, and I think it'll be more mainstream probably as time goes on.
Well, things are changing so rapidly. I mean, that is it's amazing, technology, and you're really we're seeing.
You're almost making me feel bad for spending my nights taking German lessons when you're coming so far with this. Why bother?
Well, you're still.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll ever replace learning the language. What it was initially intended to do is if you're traveling and you're going to Germany for a week, there's no need for you to spend hundreds of dollars and learn the language if you just need to ask where the bathroom is, or even have a more intellectual conversation, but do it on the fly. I mean, the only thing constant is change, and that's something that we wholeheartedly believe in. But it's not just change for the sake of change; it's change for the sake of being better. So everything we do, it's done in a way where we analyze, we plan, we implement, and then we measure, and then we improve. So based on that mantra, we've been able to constantly add new services and features which are directly impacting the user experience as opposed to just adding services for the sake of just adding them and getting into feature creep, which is a big problem that a lot of companies have when it comes to software development. How do you know what to add next? Well, our customers are actually telling us that based on what they're using our app for. So we saw at one point people were actually using our app more frequently to use optical character recognition and photo translation even more than the speech translation, because when they're traveling, I guess they're reading a lot more signs than they're interacting with people. And that could be for several different reasons. That's what made us come out with our wearable wristband, because it's a lot more natural to be able to hold your arm up and speak to someone and have it translate into the wristband. Plus, it's something unique, rather than coming up to a perfect stranger and holding your phone up to them and then trying to have them speak back into it, which is a little, people can be more standoffish, especially with different cultures. You have to account for that. So this is a way that we've been able to kind of be able to eliminate the barrier of the comfort level and the technology, introducing it into the mainstream, but then also being able to improve it by adding offline optical character recognition and OCR translation, so you don't have to go into a different application each time you want to do something that has to do with translation. It's all done within the same SpeechTrans Ultimate application.
Well, tell us, this looks very, very slick. I'm on the SpeechTrans web, and I'm looking at the SpeechTrans Bluetooth wristband watch, and it looks. Tell us a little bit about this thing, because this is a very consumer, and it's available now.
Yeah, so we do everything as a service, software as a service, even hardware as a service. So the watch is actually a subscription service. It comes with the yearly subscription of SpeechTrans, and anytime that we come out with a newer model, we'll just send you the newer version. So you don't have to worry about it becoming obsolete or the battery dying out. We build everything to last, as opposed to some other companies that may build it to break after a certain period of time, just so you have to buy a new one. That's how technology is typically built. But by having this be hardware as a service, we're able to provide the best technologies and keep improving it without the cost of it being passed down to our customers in the terms of having a sub-quality product. But the wristband, it's really simple to use. It connects to your phone just like any other Bluetooth device. And then instead of speaking into your phone when you're talking to someone, you can answer phone calls, you can check your caller ID, you can use it for vibrating alerts when you're getting an incoming call and answer it hands-free. And then you can talk right into the wristband, kind of like Dick Tracy. You could plug in headphones to it, so if you want to take it private. Or you could use it for plugging into your car and actually having that be the Bluetooth repeater if your car just has an auxiliary port. So definitely very useful. Our best-selling for sure is the wearable wristband, and we've actually almost sold out of them because we were just featured on the front page of Canada's second largest newspaper for the top 5 holiday gifts, and wow. It just went crazy.
I can imagine. Now, it looks like a watch. Can you use it as a watch as well?
No. You can't use a cell phone to make a phone call. So yeah, you can definitely use it. You could use it as a watch as well. The one thing is this particular version only has the 24-hour clock setting, so it'll be in military time. But that's the only thing. It syncs with your phone for phone calls. It could sync all your contacts, so it knows the name of the person who's calling, and it displays it on the LED screen instead of just the number.
Wow.
And then the next version we're going to be working on is you'll get next year. If you buy this version, you'll get that one as a free upgrade, and it's similar to how, like, your cable company, they send you a new cable box, and then you don't really switch cable companies very frequently, but when they come out with a new version of the box, they'll just send it to you. That's how it's been received very well in the marketplace.
Wow. So, and again, what does something like that cost? What's the cost for the translating watch?
So it's $99 a year for the subscription. That includes the hardware, and it includes the SpeechTrans, and then whenever you need it, we just send you another one. So it's a subscription as a service, and it's $99 for the initial yearly subscription.
And if you want to see this stuff for yourself, all you have to do is go to computeramerica.com, and we actually have a link to the SpeechTrans website, so you can check it out for yourself if you're interested in the technology and things that you're hearing on tonight's show. Just go to computeramerica.com, click on our show notes button, and then you can see everything there for yourself. You just showed how SpeechTrans is benefiting users with the watch and everything. Can it benefit other technologies as well, what you're doing over at SpeechTrans?
Yeah, so we realize that we may not be the best ones or may not even know all the different applications for speech translation that exist out there. So that's why we build everything out as an API first. We enable other companies to license our technology and use it to enhance their capabilities. And like I mentioned before, HP's been using it. We've got some government agencies using this, and then we're constantly using our feedback that we get from our enterprise customers and from our own consumers to enhance the offerings that we have. For example, if you're familiar with the new HP Sprout computer that does the 3D scanning.
Yeah.
So basically our software is preloaded on all of those computers, and there's a button on the keyboard called Share. If you hit that button, that opens HP My Room. You can send someone a 3D image that you scan for yourself, and then we'll be able to have that communication between you and that other engineer translated in real time. We'll also be able to take that, and if you put a book underneath the Sprout computer, we'll be able to translate the book and read the book. So basically, you no longer have to, your textbooks, you don't have to read it. You just put it underneath your computer, and we'll read the book either in your own language, like it'll become an audio book, and it kind of eliminates the physical to virtual world and takes it one step closer. So that's another thing that we're going to be adding soon with HP and our partnership with them. So a way that other companies can benefit from our technologies that we haven't thought of in the past that's a great example.
Something that just came to mind, and yes, it's just a story, but about 7 or 8 years ago, we actually had a foreign exchange student come over. He was from the French Alps, and we were going to send my brother off to France because we don't like him. So we got the one kid, and they got our kid. But while he was here, they were supposed to, he was supposed to only speak English and be, kind of submersed in the culture and learn something. But when he got here, he didn't know English like at all. So whenever we needed to communicate, he would either use extremely broken English, or he would sit down at the computer, and we use Google Translation. And you can imagine how that was 7 or 8 years ago. Oh. And we'd sit in front of the computer and try to talk to him. Something like this just would avoid that whole situation, which I thought was funny at the time. But
yeah, just have your smartphone with you and just do it that way, or the watch. Certainly would make the. Maybe we should invite him back over and try that experience again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we've actually had a family that was adopting a child from Russia, and then they used our software to make them feel more welcome because they spoke zero Russian. So those types of things are really heartfelt for us, and they touch us in a certain place where it makes us feel good about what we do. But the 5 years since we spoke last, our company's been primarily bootstrapped, and I was actually interviewed on Fox News last week. They're doing a special on crowdfunding. So we've kind of, because of my background working for a venture capital firm, for 4.5 years, I worked for the world's oldest venture capital firm, Bessemer Venture Partners, and I love them to death. Those are some of the smartest people in the world. But I also learned the best way to work with a venture capital firm as a startup is to not need one. So we've been primarily bootstrapped since we launched, and we've been growing organically. But this past year with crowdfunding, we've been able to raise $1.1 million. Through our crowdfunding campaign, and that's why we were on Fox News last week, and we're really excited about it because we've met someone that actually raised $550 million from a crowdfunding campaign. So we know that we can fund the company and continue to grow and be able to provide the best services and be able to be self-sustainable through
Well,
our own capabilities, including crowdfunding.
hey, listen,
That's awesome.
the heck with Fox News. Not that you're been on Computer America, you're going to get funded like crazy, so that's fine. So,
Yeah,
exactly.
but it's not just about getting funded. It's finding the same people that align with your vision and are looking for the long-term growth of the company. So we're not in a rush to do it. We think taking it one step at a time and making sure that we make the right decisions, because companies that grow too quickly also end up falling too quickly, but companies that grow steady and cross the chasm are typically more sustainable, especially if they're open to change. And we've had to be open to that by adding new features and constantly reinventing ourselves, and that's how we're able to stay on top and are seen as the leader in the space.
We've mentioned, I've been talking mostly about consumer products here, but you also have some other services that you provide. Can you talk briefly about what those are?
Sure. So we do IT services for medical and legal. So as of, I'm sure you're aware, for example, Windows Server 2003 is going to be end of life this year.
Yeah.
So any companies that need to get new servers rather than going out and buying new servers, our partnership with Microsoft allows us to move their entire infrastructure to the cloud. So your whole IT becomes just like your phone bill. It's an afterthought. We manage any of your software. You can access it from any device. Plus, we add the bundle package, which includes SpeechTrans. So you get speech translation and dictation into your whole Windows session. You also have HP My Room that's included, so you can communicate with your employees securely over video and do screen sharing. So that's called Speech Web, and that's $39 a month, so you never have to buy a new computer again. We also have our mobile subscription, which is just $1.99 a month, which is just the SpeechTrans Ultimate application. That's the baseline. You can download it for free. You can use it for free. You can either subscribe, or even if you don't subscribe, you can continue using it, and that's going to be powered by advertisements if you decide not to pay, but you can still use it.
Wow. Okay. Well, you certainly have a full suite of services that you provide, Jan. Any last thoughts that you want to tell our listeners before we say goodnight?
No, Craig, I think you did a terrific job. The one thing I'll just mention, if there's any additional questions, you could contact us directly by going to SpeechTrans.com. We have all of our applications free for anyone to try. If there's any opportunities or any way that we could assist, the way that we become successful is by helping all the people around us become successful first. And, business is all about just networking and helping people out, and it's building a network of systems, and how you tie those systems together seamlessly is what will make the business be able to scale. So we can help anyone do that as well. We're experts in automation, machine translation, natural language understanding, and I want to thank you and Ben very much again for your time and for having me on again. I really enjoyed talking with you guys, and I hope you have a terrific rest of your show.
Absolutely, and again, just you can go to, for our listeners, you can go to computeramerica.com, click on our show notes page, and you'll see tonight's show, which is February the 4th, and you'll see the SpeechTrans link. We have Jan's name is up there, and you can read about it. And just click on the link there, and it'll take you to the SpeechTrans website, and you can check out all the different things, including that really cool-looking speech translator that you wear on your wrist. Jan, I want to thank you so much for being with us here on the show, and hopefully don't let another 4 years go by. We'll get you, have to get you back on sooner, okay?
We'll be in touch. Thank you so much, Craig. Thanks, Ben.
All right, have a great one. Take care. Have a good evening. Good night. All right, so there you go. All right, so there you go. Again, SpeechTrans. You can check it out for yourself, and if you have any interest in language technology, you can certainly check them out. I didn't want to talk too much about the one that I've been using because it's not the SpeechTrans one, but he said it's sort of related, and I'm sure they do something similar. But I had downloaded the Google Translate one on my iPhone. I don't know if you have it, Ben, but it's amazing. I mean, you just take it, you hold it, uses the camera in your phone, and you just hold up to your computer screen. Because I was looking at a Word document, and it shows the Word document, and then as you're looking at the live Word document, the words instantly change to whatever language you wanted to see in. It's like you can point to sign or anything that has printed text. Immediately, the image gets changed to the language to which you want to translate it, and it's just really, really slick. And as you said, if you had that several years ago, when you had the visitor over, where was he from again? He was from where? What country?
I think he said Italy.
Italy. Right? You could have done Italian, and you wouldn't have to keep running over to the computer every time.
Wait, you mean in my story?
Yeah, no. When you had your
the foreign exchange student was from the French Alps.
From the French Alps. Ah, okay. So it would make things.
We didn't know what he was saying. He was all bit of a I don't know.
All right. Well,
it's scary having someone in your house you don't know what they're saying. It's scary.
It is. Coming up the next hour, evidently our second hour guest has not made an appearance, so we're going to have computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America, and we will have the gift card lady, the gift card girlfriend, on at another show. But we'll be right back. Stay tuned for another hour of Computer America.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Fascinating stuff, that first hour, SpeechTrans.
We've talked a lot lately, oddly enough. It seems like active translation is just beating us over the head. Which is nice because, hey, it's something that people have been dreaming of since Star Trek.
Right, it's
and probably way before.
Yeah, we keep bringing that up, that universal translator. But I remember when that first started, people said, "Oh my God, that would be so cool to have something like that." And it's communicator. Remember the communicator got and flipped open? That was cool before we had smartphones. Basically,
you're talking about the tricorder because the communicator was the badge.
No. The communicator. No, but what he would say when to beam up, it was the communicator. He would flip it out, the little thing.
Okay.
And that was their smartphone, of the 23rd or 25th.
Well, then again, and I bet you those stories, I'm not sure when Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy came out, like the radio series, but they had that kind of stuff. Like, just universal translation has just been a dream, I'm sure, ever since wandering Indians ran into the Vikings, and they're like, whoa, what's up with that?
Right. So, the babblefish. They have to put it in your ear, though, and it gets a little squishy. But once it's in there,
These things happen.
Yeah, it does. Well, as I mentioned, if you missed any portion of that show, again, you can listen to it. We archive all of our shows at ComputerAmerica.com. Just click the archive pull-down menu, and it'll you can download it. And we have access. It gives you. We're on Apple's iTunes. We have the Blog Talk Radio archives. All of it is there for you to download and listen to again at ComputerAmerica.com. Anyway, so anyhow, in this hour, our guest is not here with us tonight, so we're going to, although it's Do-It-Yourself Month here on the show, we didn't have any time to prepare a topic, so we are going to do some computer and technology news. So unless you have anything else, we'll start doing that, okay?
All right.
Well, let's do it. Tonight's Computer and Technology News is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for
free.
For free. That's right. Everything that.
I don't know why you keep waiting for that.
Because
I'm not some kind of trained dolphin who punts your footballs for you.
SlimmerUtilities.com. Download them all. They're completely free, and they will truly speed up and clean and optimize your Windows system. Get them all. Have them at your beck and call in case something really bad happens. You can't get on the internet. You'll have them already on your computer system. They will truly do the job for you. You'll be happy that you did. You'll thank us for it. SlimmerUtilities.com. And in this first story here, remember we talked about this is weeks ago Keurig, and we have a Keurig coffee maker here. We have a couple of them actually, and they're wonderful. But they attempted to add digital rights management to its coffee cups.
And as everyone knows, people love DRM.
Yeah, and anyway, you think they would have learned, but no, they didn't. Well, anyway, this according to The Verge, that it's totally backfired. Okay. A system designed to lock out third-party competitors just enraged consumers. And, they go on to say, Keurig's machines, the company's squat black coffee brewers have become fixtures in offices, hotels, and homes around the country, as have garbage cans heaped with the spent plastic pods that they use. Purely on the strength of those machines, or more accurately, the relatively expensive pods they use, Keurig transformed its parent company, Green Mountain Coffee, from a small regional brewer to a major corporation doing over $4 billion, that's billion with a B, dollars in sales each year. Wow. So, what do? They're going to mess it up. Late last year, Keurig announced a new machine, the 2.0, calling it the future of brewing, and touting its ability to make both small cups and large carafes. But another, less publicized feature has been getting most of the attention, and that's the brewer's advanced scanning system that locks out any coffee pods not bearing a special mark. It's essentially a digital rights management system, but for coffee, and it's proving to be the brewer's downfall. They thought they were going to get cute. They didn't learn the lesson from software. You know how they used to put copy protection on software, and people just hated it, and finally.
Well, because you're making people jump through hoops that
Right.
it's to keep people from stealing your stuff, but then you're making actual paying people who will pay you for your stuff to jump through the exact same hoops, and it turns off your customers.
Well, anyway, on an earnings call yesterday, the company announced that the brewer sales fell 12% last quarter, the first full quarter for which the 2.0 was on sale. Quite simply, our 2.0 launch got off to a slower start than we had planned, said the CEO. He said the company had been too slow to get 2.0 compatible cups onto retail shelves, and confusion amongst consumers as to whether the 2.0 would still brew all of their favorite brands. Yeah. Indeed, the 2.0's Amazon reviews overflow with caffeine-deprived fury, the idiosyncratically capitalized wrath of people who bought 2.0 machines only to find that their old K-cups won't work. One guy said, "Talk about greedy corporate ridiculousness." He said, who tried to use his refill pods. And he says, "On principle alone, I hate that they are dictating which coffee I'm using in my machine," said another. One said, "It's a huge shame that the company decided to remove the ability to use your own coffee grounds in the homebrew K-cup. They should have just said, we make these changes so our products would sell more so we can make a bigger profit." That's a typical review. They took a potentially killer machine and added horrible DRM, a rights management system, in the greedy attempt to get all other coffee pod manufacturers to pay them so that their pods would work. Read another of the hundreds of one-star reviews. Many lamented the ability to give no stars. If you Google Keurig 2.0, the first thing that auto completes is the word hack. Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
People are thrilled.
They are thrilled. What? Yeah, my producer, don't mess with people's coffee.
Well, yeah, no.
Nice
Some
guy.
people treat coffee as some kind of holy antidote to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's face it. Uh, you can't get your morning started without coffee. You don't want to go near my wife until she's had her morning cup of coffee. Uh,
And that's the day Craig Crossman was found falling with his neck broken in bed.
Now, the funniest thing about the backlash is that it was extremely and entirely predictable. Consumers hate DRM. They hate it in music. They hate it in movies. They hate it in anything. But applying it to coffee is especially galling. All right. Yeah. It's the most open caffeinated beverage there is. All you need is beans and hot water and I guess a vessel to brew it in. Looking it looking it up in plastic cups was already a little silly. Okay, locking it up in plastic cups was silly. That's the K cups, though something lots of people were happy to buy for the sake of convenience. Building a complicated infrared scanning system so that you can only use Keurig-approved cups was a step too far. At a Keurig 2.0 launch event last June, company representatives demonstrated the DRM system using old Keurig pods without the scannable ink markers, and if you tried to use one, the machine displayed a message saying, "Oops," and did nothing. Just what a person who wants coffee in the morning, it's not difficult enough to get the cup, get everything about. You want your $250 coffee machine to say "oops" in the display and do nothing. All right, just what you don't want to say, but that's what it does. It was designed to lock out K cups made by third parties, but obviously it also locked out old Keurig K cups. So once you bought legitimately, couldn't use those, as the demonstration made clear. Now, the reporter asked whether that would be a problem, and no one seemed to think it would be. The old cups would be phased out, and retailers would carry only the new ones, Keurig said. That turned out to be wrong, possibly because so many Keurig users buy their K cups in bulk, and probably because unlicensed pods were cheaper. Maybe the problems will subside somewhat now that retailers are stocking the new cups, but as the representative from Keurig acknowledged in the call, the initial angry response did a lot of damage. Okay, Keurig says that the scanning system allows the machine to optimize brew temperature for different types of cups. Yeah, right. Yeah. And to tell the difference between carafe-sized cups and regular ones. But at the event, a Keurig engineer said that the technology is based on anti-counterfeiting technology used by the U.S. Mint, which surely is not the simplest way of distinguishing between one pod and another.
There really isn't any need. Really, at the end of the day, it's profits. There isn't really any need to say, "Hey, don't use other cups in my coffee maker." People are always gonna want to do that.
Yeah. Now, at a corporate level, Keurig's attempt to make a DRM system for its coffee is understandable. The company's business model depends on selling its brewers cheap and making money selling pods, a model reminiscent of printer manufacturers and their marked-up ink cartridges, or even razor companies making razor blades for their inexpensive razor handles. I mean, look, a lot of people have done it, but it's a tremendously lucrative business. Of Keurig's $1.4 billion in sales last quarter, $1 billion came from selling the K-cups. Really, not the machines. But in 2002, key patents on its cups expired, and competitors rushed in, selling compatible cups for cheaper and quickly eating into Keurig's market share. Many of these companies have declared their intention to make 2.0 compatible cups. Others have sued. Yet another third-party cup manufacturer is giving away a free clip that says it tricks Keurig scanner. And YouTube is full of videos showing how to hack the system.
That's the best part. You can hack it. You can put a piece of Scotch tape over it. There are ways to get around it, and people will find ways to get around it before they have to deal with it. No one likes DRM, and people, and I guess when you mix that with people who have not had their coffee yet, you're just gonna have a bad day.
Yeah, but on top of that, the author says, look, whether this stuff works is sort of beside the point here, with the tape. You shouldn't have to hack your coffee. And that's especially true for a company whose entire success is based on being super easy and convenient. And evidently Keurig's latest earnings report proves that to be true. So there it is, folks. I mean, yeah, take it back. Take it back. If you don't, if you get a Keurig 2.0, you know what was the they were just defining this other coffee maker system that has the needle that rotates and everything, and it works with K cups. It works with all the different standards. What is the name of the company that did that? I'll think of it in a minute here.
Oh, I have no idea, but I know what you're talking about.
Marty Winston did a thing.
Yeah.
And I'll let you know in a minute. But basically, you know, if that's the case, go ahead and get one of these other ones machines, and you know you'll be better for it. It is the oh, here it is, the no display, the no, not the cable corral.
Someone mentioned that if you have to spend time hacking your coffee just to get coffee, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
People are obviously not happy. So hopefully the DRM was a failed experiment, and they go back to just saying, okay, here's a quality product. We'll sell you the pods. You know they'll work with us, but no DRM. Just have some coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully. You know, just go back and buy the original Keurig 1.0 if you can still it. It's called the iCoffee Opus. That's the one that we reported on. The iCoffee Opus. You can take a look at it. It uses a rotating needle. It's really slick, and it works with all the cups out there. Pick up one of those, the iCoffee Opus, and check it out for yourself. Okay.
Yep.
Enough about coffee. Your turn.
Oh, never enough about coffee. Okay, how about this one? We hinted at it a little while ago, but it's official. Radio Shack finally files for bankruptcy protection. Yep. There are rumors and whatnot, but it's happening. So, well, and this is from Ars Technica, and well, we all could see this coming a mile away. Radio Shack has finally filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The company's Thursday court filing states that it has over $1.3 billion in liabilities with $1.2 billion in assets. In the wake of the filing, the company will close about half of its existing stores and will indeed sell the remaining, as had been rumored, half to Sprint. So, yeah, so half of them closing, going away, which there were tons of Radio Shack stores, and then the other half are apparently going to become Sprint stores. So, you know, bankruptcy protection wouldn't necessarily mean that Radio Shack intends to go out of business. Rather, it would mean Radio Shack would be given a certain period of time to rebuild itself and shield itself from its creditors. In a similar situation in September 2013, Kodak emerged from bankruptcy because remember, Kodak had the same thing. They were evolving too slowly. They went under Chapter 11, and yet they came out the other side still Kodak, but a smaller, different company.
You think they should have renamed themselves, call themselves Computer Shack?
Who? Radio Shack?
Yeah, call themselves Computer Shack.
Nah, it's just it seems like they're just throwing in the ghost. They're just closing half their store, selling the other half, and they're just gonna try to, you know, hightail it out of there. So, so in a statement, Radio Shack said that Sprint would effectively operate a store within a Radio Shack store, occupying approximately 1/3 of the retail space of each location. Huh, that's interesting. Seems like Radio Shack might not go out of business.
Yeah.
Quote, we've proven that our products and new offers drive traffic to stores, and this agreement would allow Sprint to grow branded distribution quickly and cost-effectively in prime locations. Sprint and Radio Shack expect to benefit from operational efficiencies and by cross-marketing to each other's customers. And say what you want about Radio Shack, when they say prime locations, there is a Radio Shack in every mall in America. It's crazy. And even most strip malls, there's a Radio Shack. There's probably 3 to 4 within driving distance of where you are right now, wherever you're listening to us from. It's there are tons of Radio Shacks, so I guess I take it back. It sounds like Radio Shack isn't going out of business. It's just they're kind of being partnered up with Sprint, and they're going to be Radio Shack plus Sprint stores.
Wow. Well.
Yep. So yeah. So keep keep an eye on that whole thing.
Okay. All right. All right, we're Ben and I are doing computer technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, and um, so here's the story um, from CNET. Here's how souped up your smartphone is going to be for 2016, excuse me, 2016. Evidently, the British chip designer ARM is introducing two new processors that will lead to slimmed down phones that can run faster and longer. Now, if the personal computer is ever killed off, ARM is hoping it will have had something to do with it. It's not going to get killed off. The British chip designer firm, whose technology is used in nearly every smartphone, unveiled Tuesday more powerful technologies, the Cortex A72 processor and the Mali T880 graphics chip that should be coming to smartphones in 2016. This is not for the Apple ones, folks. This is for Android and what have you, because Apple makes their own processor. These designs could help handset makers create new devices that let people be more productive on their phones, using them to write or edit longer stories or produce videos, so folks won't have to reach for the laptops as often. Ultimately, ARM's goal is to close the gap in the experience between the smartphone and the personal computer, further supplanting PCs with smartphones as the true device for every situation. I still don't think that's going to happen. However, the story goes on to say, I think innovation is accelerating in the phone space. This is from an ARM executive. I said during a conference call on Tuesday. He says, we think the phone is becoming the primary compute platform. On top of that, ARM claims the new technologies will provide a boost in energy efficiency, letting manufacturers produce thinner devices that will last longer. ARM, which develops chip designs for companies including the Qualcomm and MediaTek phones, stands to gain richly if it's able to bring forward a wholly mobile age for consumers and office workers. However, while the smartphone has upended many industries, it still doesn't serve as a full replacement for a desktop or laptop. Many functions, particularly those involving writing stories, editing videos, or producing music, remain in the realm of the PC, though the smartphone industry is trying to change that. In addition to weakening the PC market, a more robust smartphone may also hurt sales of tablet computers, owing in part to smartphones now coming out with bigger screens. Okay. He thinks that the head of ARM says he thinks that the 2016 is going to be a pivotal year where you're going to see a significant uptick and things like this happening. But some are skeptical that smartphones can wholly replace other devices. The technical analysis research just said, I really don't think most people are going to use their mobile phones only. It's just too hard. Though he added that the ability to wirelessly connect to large displays could benefit mobile devices. Okay. Also, Oculus, for instance, originally developed VR technology for PCs, and now it's looking at more at mobile devices. Late last year, the company introduced with Samsung the Gear VR headset, which uses Samsung's Galaxy Note 4 smartphone. Even though the Note 4 has a high-definition screen, it still can't remove all pixels from the viewing experience. So basically, they're going to get smaller, they're going to get faster, but I don't think they're ever going to replace the PC. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Two different form factors, and they serve different purposes. I'm just trying to think of a computer that was, I mean, sure, the laptop might be getting edged out by tablets and smartphones, although people just like bigger screens. It's not that phones are becoming more like phones and laptops are going away. It's that phones are becoming more like computers and laptops. They're just getting bigger and more powerful. So, if anything, you're just saying, well, computers are going away, but computers are coming. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Apples and apples.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So this next article really highlights the probably one of the first great I want to say internet crimes.
Really?
That, involving Bitcoin, one of the first great internet crimes, and how the guy running the whole show was found guilty. So Silk Road creator found guilty on all counts. After a trial of several weeks, a federal jury has found Ross Ulbricht guilty of running and operating the online black market known as Silk Road. He was found guilty on all 7 charges, which include money laundering, narcotics trafficking, and computer hacking. Ulrich was accused of being the Dread Pirate Roberts, the so-called kingpin of Silk Road, which he apparently started back in 2010 in order to sell hallucinogenic mushrooms. It then grew into a digital marketplace for narcotics and other illegal items like fake passports. Silk Road was cloaked on the Tor anonymity network to hide it from the view and use Bitcoin as its currency of choice due to how difficult it is to track. By the way, we have a great segment on Tor and private browsing in our previous show this week.
Yes, but we don't recommend you do what he did.
But we don't recommend that you sell drugs. That's bad. So the site was eventually shut down in 2013 when the FBI seized its servers and arrested Ulrich. The case against Ulrich...
How did they catch him? I mean, he was using Tor, and he was using all his anonymity, and he's using Bitcoin, which is untraceable. How did they catch him?
All it takes is a slip or someone to rat him out or just something. Something led it to him. So the case against Ulrich was seemingly overwhelming. When arrested, his laptop was seized and showed him logged into Silk Road under his pseudonym. Law enforcement also allegedly traced thousands of Bitcoin transactions between Silk Road servers and his laptop, stating that a total of nearly $13.4 million was transferred to Ulrich. Additionally, police found a crumpled piece of paper with details that contained a rating system similar to one that was discussed on a Silk Road forum. Law enforcement was also able to track chat logs, forum posts, messages, and emails that all point to the Dread Pirate Roberts' dealings in drugs and, yes, even plotting the assassination of would-be blackmailers. That's creepy. Prosecutors accused him of spending almost $730,000 to arrange the hits, although there was no evidence that these murders actually took place. Ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
So the defense, for their part, said that though Ulrich started Silk Road, he left a few weeks later, and that Dread Pirate Roberts was someone else. They cited evidence that the fact that Silk Road 2.0 cropped up shortly after Ulrich was arrested, and that personal accounts are often duped or faked. Defense lawyers also pointed out that that one of the other people, the former head of Mt. Gox, the now defunct Bitcoin exchange, was once under investigation as being the head of Silk Road. Unfortunately, the latter was not admissible in court, and the judge deemed it merely law enforcement suspicion rather than anything concrete. He faces a maximum penalty of life in prison from the narcotics and criminal enterprise charges.
Wow.
It's crazy. So this is kind of the bookend to this whole Silk Road thing, or at least Silk Road 1.0, if indeed, because don't get me wrong, there's conspiracies left and right about who the real Dread Pirate Roberts is and whether it's him or whatnot, but I think we're going to put this particular one to bed. With Silk Road, it started in 2010, ended with Ulrich getting caught with about $14 million in Bitcoins being transferred just by him alone, and even apparently calling hits out on people. I mean, this is as nerdy and as mafia as you get. So it's it's creepy.
It is creepy.
And this is no, that's it.
Okay. Well, Ben and I are doing computer and technology news, and brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And this next story from Engadget, Eve, that's her name, Eve, the robot scientist, discovers a new drug candidate for malaria. There's a picture of Eve here. She's evidently really smart, can make the process of finding new drugs a lot faster and cheaper, and she costs about $1 million. That's because Eve is a robotic scientist developed by researchers from the University of Cambridge and Aberystwyth, the same team who created her predecessor, you guessed it, Adam, back in 2009. Since Eve was created specifically to automate the early stages of drug design, she's capable of scanning over 10,000 compounds a day, whereas humans obviously wouldn't be able to process as many in the same time frame. As the professor from the University of Manchester, which Eve calls home, said, every industry now benefits from automation, and science is no exception. Bringing in machine learning to make this process intelligent rather than just a brute force approach could greatly speed up scientific progress and potentially reap huge rewards. Now, to be able to narrow down candidates and keep costs to a minimum, though, she processes the compounds through a smart screening system that uses genetically engineered yeast to leave out anything toxic to human cells and choose only those that target diseases. In fact, that's what Eve did to find viable candidates for a malaria drug in a recent test conducted by King and his colleagues. According to the journal they published in the Royal Science this February, Eve discovered that a compound once investigated as a potential anti-cancer drug can block DHFR, a molecule found in the malaria parasite. While some current malaria medicine already uses compounds that can block that molecule, new strains continue to evolve, rendering those medications useless. The same situation applies to other topical diseases, including African sleeping sickness and Chagas disease. To wit, the industry is having a hard time finding new drugs fast enough, and Eve could eventually change that. The AI is still young, and she's bound to go through more upgrades before she gets to help out more scientists and companies. King believes her recent findings might end up being more significant than just demonstrating a new approach to drug discovery, though. Despite extensive efforts, he said, no one has been able to find a new anti-malarial drug that targets DHFR and is able to pass clinical trials. So there you go.
Robots to the rescue.
Robots to the rescue. Eve. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network, the Boost Radio Network. Ben and I are doing computer technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Marty Winston's got another News Tips Bulletin review coming up. We'll be right back with more. Stay with us. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MY-TV. 1-866-663-MY-TV.
Aw, were you waiting for me? Hi, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the PortaPow USB Power Monitor version 2. Now, you may have had an inkling that those woe-warts and power pucks feeding their USB gear may have fudged their specs a bit. But how can you be sure? Underpowering or power-starving some kinds of gear, like USB drives, can have some bad consequences, like head crashes. So we got in the PortaPow USB Power Monitor version 2 about the size of a chunky chocolate. It has a short attached USB-A male for plugging into the power source and a USB-A female for the power consumer, which can be either gear or a resistive dummy load. A front button backlights the 3-line LCD that tells you the source voltage between 3 and 7 volts DC. USB spec is 5 volts. The amount of current being delivered between 0 and 2.5 amps. the amount of power at DC, that's voltage in volts times current in amps, to yield power in watts, being drawn. Bottom line, anytime the performance versus specs of USB products gets suspicious, a Porta-Pow version 2 USB power monitor is auspicious. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show, or as Marty Winston calls it, Computer America. So, we are doing computer technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities, and yeah, we just talked about the story about Eve, and how Eve is actually being used to derive new compounds and new drugs to use instead of whatever we have available. Because it seems like for a person to put molecules together and run simulations and that kind of thing, just the fact that you have a human inputting so many different things, it's just naturally going to take it longer. So if you take the human element out of it and put robots in their place, everything's just going to get quicker. So that sounds like we're about where we're at right now with Eve.
I agree.
So
okay,
cool. Yeah. So this next story, though, that we are talking about, which I have yet to pick, is how about this one? This has been making the rounds in the news cycle, not just tech news, but news in general, about how the bubonic plague is actually back.
No.
Yeah, Black Death.
No.
So this one from popsci.com, Lydia Ramsey, and traces of bubonic plague and dysentery found in New York subway system.
Ew.
We can all say it together. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ew. There we go. So yeah, very gross. Today, the Wall Street Journal released an interactive map of the bacteria in New York's subway system, and as expected, it's gross enough to make your skin crawl. The map shows the culmination of a work by the research at Weill Cornell Medical College, including geneticist Chris Mason. Their study was published February 5th in the journal Cell Systems. Great journal. The researcher collected samples from all 466 Metropolitan Transit Authority stations to create the first genetic profile of a city's transportation system.
Yep.
The project is part of a bigger effort to get a clear picture of life at the microscopic level, and researchers hope to use what they learned to better track down outbreaks, detect bioterrorism attempts, and combat antibiotic resistance. And this is kind of one of those things, if you look for bad things in bad places, you're going to find them.
Yeah.
So by the numbers, the team tracked down more than 15,000 types of life forms.
And we weren't counting the people, were we?
No, they were not included. From that list, they identified 560 types of bacteria, 67 of which could be dangerous to humans. Luckily, these organisms were found in such small amounts that it wouldn't be possible for a healthy human to pick up the disease.
Good.
There you go. Stay healthy. New York subway system is by no means the cleanest place in the world. The MTA stations are known for their colorful smells, frequent rodent visitors, and discarded paraphernalia. A quote from the article sums them up perfectly. In New York City, the Cornell scientists and students volunteered, gamely dodged rats, and gingerly worked around discarded pregnancy tests and other things. And, and yes, and by other things, there's more colorful language here, but I don't feel like saying it.
Yeah.
And running food to swab surfaces in every subway station.
Hmm.
It sounds like just being in that kind of environment will give you disease at any rate. So,
well,
don't touch anything.
Yeah. Basically, stay away.
Yeah, pretty much. So the researchers were also limited in what they could compare their DNA samples to. The cockroach genome, for example, has yet to be mapped out. Shocking, really. So they couldn't identify samples that may have been related to the pest. They also ran into some false matches, which, when doing computerized DNA comparisons, connecting some of their DNA samples to the DNA of Himalayan yaks and Mediterranean fruit flies, both of which have probably never traveled the New York City subway. Who knows? There may be yaks in the subway. It sounds like a really nice song. This may be part of the reason why the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene strongly disagrees with the study's findings. The takeaway message: you won't catch the plague or likely any other disease from holding onto a metal pole on the train. But the results make for a fun interactive. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. Maybe I just wear gloves when you ride the subway.
Well, they make so many different kinds of antibacterial like keychains you can have. It's like the little
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't want to say lotion, but the gel that you clean your hands with.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're really a germaphobe, there's only 67 types of dangerous bacteria out of 15,000, so you're already at better odds. And if you're a perfectly normal human being, they're in such small amounts, you really aren't at risk anyways. But if you are one of those weird people that's like, ew, no, that kind of thing, then yeah, go ahead, get some gel. But I think gloves, biohazard mask, and everything like that, you're just going to freak people out more than you're actually going to help yourself.
I see them riding the subways. I mean, I'll see in the news or in Japan they're riding. They have the masks on. You know. It is freaky. Hey, let's talk about customer support. Okay. Now you know who Gabe Newell is, right? Your Steam fan.
Gabe Newell, yes, the creator of Steam.
Well,
no, I'm sorry, the creator of Valve.
Yes. Well, basically, he, according to the story of Maximum PC, he's tackling customer support issues like a boss. Okay. Customer support done the right way, according to the story. Gabe Newell's a busy man. Let's face it. He comes with the territory of managing Valve, a massive company with billions of dollars in equity. He's also personable and surprisingly accessible for someone in his position, as a Steam user in need of support recently found out. See, after submitting a support request to Steam and not receiving a response in a week's time, the user figured he had nothing to lose and everything to gain by contacting Newell himself. And guess what? He was right. There's an Imager post and Reddit thread that are gaining traction on the web, and it's because of the exchange between Steam user, that early guy, and Newell. Credit to Kotaku for the heads up. He says, "Hello, Gabe. I heard you answer fan email despite your busy schedule." This is what he wrote. "I thought it was just amazing, but I couldn't believe it. So I'd like to put it to the test. Do you think you'll reply faster than Steam support? I gave them a week head start." and that's what he wrote. So he was surprised to not only hear back from Newell, but to get a response within a few hours of sending his email. What's your ticket? At the end of the day, everyone here at Valve is in in support. Newell responded. After replying with his ticket number that he received from the Steam support, letting him know that his issue had never been resolved, naturally the Steam user wanted to post his experience to the web, but politely requested permission first, considering that it could lead to a mountain of support requests. To his surprise, again, Newell was cool about it, reminding him that everyone at Valve is in support, so it's fine for people to contact me or anyone else here if there are problems. Wouldn't it be nice if all company bigwigs acted like this? And that's the end of the story, again, from Paul Lilly. So there you go. He was doing tech support, helping his customers.
Yeah, no, he's great with customers, and he's actually very good at keeping in contact with his community because, let's face it, the Steam community is huge. It's one of the largest computer game communities out there.
Yeah.
With millions upon millions of users, and you'd think someone so far at the top who has to run the day-to-day business, who has to make the decisions, like he can't. Someone like that, they have so much responsibility. They don't really have time to go down and get their hands dirty.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be like the CEO of Intel working the tech support line.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't think that it could happen, but lo and behold, Gabe Newell, he finds a way.
Well, there you go. Well, back was it 2011? He gave away his Steam password to a user, his name and password for all to see. Yeah, so he does. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah,
so, this one is more research and develop again, but this is from Maxim PC, and it's again Paul Lilly. Researchers excited over first silicene transistor, and what does that mean for computing?
Silicene. 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 Okay.
Yes, silicene. So world's thinnest the world's thinnest silicon material could lead to faster, significantly faster computer chips. It's not quite the holy grail of computing, though the creation of silicene transistors has researchers at the University of Texas giddy because it's never been done before. In fact, human-made silicene was just a theoretical material up until 7 years ago due to its complexity and the instability when exposed to air. So now we have the first silicene transistor, and with it comes the potential for far faster and more energy-efficient computer chips. That's getting quite a bit ahead of ourselves, but it's also significant because it erases the question of whether silicene could even be made into a transistor in the first place. Quote, nobody could have expected that in such a short time, something that didn't exist could make a transistor. So, silicene doesn't suffer the same shortfalls and this is continuing off a little bit before. Part of Lillay's interest in silicene is due to growing skepticism that graphene, which we talked about before, is a suitable material for semiconductors. That's because graphene lacks a band gap, which is an energy hurdle that electrons must jump before they can carry a current. Band gaps are what allow semiconductor devices to switch on and off and perform logical operation in bits, which is kind of necessary in a processor. That's like the basic building block of one. So silicene doesn't suffer the same shortfall, though there are other challenges, namely fabrication process. As usual, when something first is produced, it costs a lot of money because it's not been hammered out yet. It's very experimental and therefore very costly. So, and they said that it consists of letting hot vapor of silicon atoms condense into a crystalline block, yada yada yada. Unfortunately, the exposed silicene degrades in as little as 2 minutes, though an extra layer on top of the silicene transistor is one way to extend its life. Nevertheless, it's still a long ways from being actual computer chips, but it goes to show something that did not exist. No one had ever touched it. No one had ever seen it, smelt it, heard of it, whatever. It exists now, 7 years later.
Yeah, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Oh, the things that we see in our lifetime.
And of course, we'll never hear from it again, and we're all going to be sitting around here in 10 years saying, "Man, I wish my battery lasted longer."
Yeah, I wish.
Whatever happened to that silicene stuff?
Yeah, whatever happened to that? I remember when NEC made the announcement 15 years ago, they came out with a longer life battery. Never happened. So sometimes these things just never make it to fruition. Maximum PC again. Paul Lilly. Wow. Twitter CEO admits platform sucks at dealing with trolls. That's right. We've had our fair share of them here at the program.
Oh, and we love them. Yes, we do.
Yes, but he says
we catalog each one and we put it in our journal. Today, February 2nd, we had another troll caller. He was hilarious.
And the FBI is on his way to his door as we speak. No,
that too.
Yes, but he says change is coming. Twitter will begin aggressively booting trolls and abusers. Wow, this can include the CEO. It's no secret that Twitter is a haven for trolls. You know it. We know it. And even Twitter CEO knows it. The question is, will the company ever do anything about it? And evidently, it appears that it will. In a heartfelt memo to employees, he held himself accountable for the level of trolling and abuse that takes place on Twitter on a daily basis. He uses words like ashamed and embarrassed to describe how he feels, calling the situation a truth that needs to be dealt with, and he intends to do just that. Hear, hear. He says, we suck at dealing with abuse and trolls on the platform, and we've sucked at it for years. It's no secret, and the rest of the world talks about it every day, he said in a memo to The Verge. What prompted the memo is a story feminist Lindsay West shared with This American Life. She's often the target of harassment on Twitter, and one incident in particular involved a message she received on the microblogging service purported to be from her dead father. It was mean in nature, but far from the only incident of trolling at her expense. After writing an article in which West said she thought male comedians are careless with the subject of rape, she was bombarded with nasty Twitter messages. And she gets some really unpolite, nasty messages. Catching wind of all of this, a Twitter employee asked on an internal forum if Twitter could do a better job in this regard, and then the memo came. I'm frankly ashamed of how poorly we've dealt with this issue during my tenure as CEO. It's absurd. There's no excuse for it. I take full responsibility for not being more aggressive on this front. It's nobody else's fault but mine, and it's embarrassing, unquote. Costello goes on to make it clear that he's blaming himself, and not only himself, but just as important, is also vowing to do something about it. He says that Twitter is going to start kicking these people off right and left and making sure that when they issue their ridiculous attacks, nobody hears them. He hasn't commented on the memo that's now gone public, but it's out there, and so it's up to Costello to follow through and make Twitter a better place. It's a fine line he'll have to dance, one that teeters between too much censorship and trolling, and it will be interesting to see how it goes. Obviously, something needs to be done. I mean, you know,
trolling on Twitter is pretty bad, especially since it's so easy to make an account, and so many times you see. Honestly, I hope they do this for the younger generation. I really do, because the things that you say when you're 12 years old, when you're 13 years old, and you're talking to not just a classmate, not just someone, but to the world, and you say something for shock value, you say something to get attention, you say something just to make people say, what did he just say? Mm-hmm. When you say things like that, and then it can be later on, it can be tracked to you. Maybe you put your personal name, and someone Googles your name, and then you get pull-up tweets from 3-4 years ago about you just being completely nasty. I hope they delete those accounts. It really messes with those people's lives in the future. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That's very true. Well, I applaud his efforts. So hopefully that he'll come up with something. It is because it's a delicate balance, between the getting rid of people who are trolls and then censorship at the same time. It is a fine line, and I just hope they come up.
I'm sure. And I'm sure once they start doing this, if enough people get together and they flag, Kim Kardashian's official Twitter page, and they flag that as being a troll, then it gets removed. There's going to be backlash like that, but doing nothing, I think, at this point is probably going to be worse than trying something.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
All right, so this next one, yes, time for tinfoil hat segment.
Okay.
Oh, Craig, you got a sound effect for that.
That's it.
Yeah, no, you should. So for this tinfoil hat segment, it involves Anonymous and the Pirate Bay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so for everyone who doesn't remember, the Pirate Bay was taken down a while ago by the FBI. Their servers were seized and all that kind of stuff. I mean, people who had uploaded all kind of content to it was taken down, and it was sidelined until recently. The Pirate Bay is finally back in action, and that means people have been uploading content left and right.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, here comes a bunch of people who are conspiracy theorists, but what they're saying is getting a lot of traction out there. So here's what they're saying that might just get you to stop using the Pirate Bay altogether. So apparently, and this is theorists including Anonymous, are claiming the file-sharing website could now be in the hands of the FBI and are warning users of the risk of using the site. According to the U.S. website Motherboard, some Pirate Bay fanatics have been spreading the rumor that the site is being used as a honeypot to entrap people downloading content illegally. And then, of course, they have a tweet here from Anonymous that stay away from it. The FBI is hosting it and is logging IPs. So far, there's no proof of FBI involvement, although the removal of certain ads and the apparent use of secure servers is adding to some users' concern. However, they had a recent blog post saying that they were just using the new services to handle the initial massive upload to their servers. So there's your tinfoil hat segment. the Pirate Bay, which has long been the largest distribution of pirated content, could now be in the hands of the FBI and is being used by the FBI, still being used for illegal trading of documents and things like that, but is being used by the FBI to log your IP and make arrests for people who are using such services.
You think it's true?
Do I think it's true? I mean, there was that whole thing about the FBI selling guns to Mexican drug cartels so that they could track where the guns were going.
Yep.
So I wouldn't put something like this. Let's face it. If they could do something like that with actual fire, with actual weapons, and they mess that up with that could actually kill people, why wouldn't they be able to do this with a message board and a website? It's not that hard. So it could happen, and we here at Computer America, we don't recommend doing this kind of thing in the first place. But it also seems rather obvious if they're going to do it this way. So,
all right. Well,
don't pirate things, people. Don't pirate things. You get in trouble.
No. Remember the story we did last night about net neutrality? And
yes.
They're trying to evidently the FCC decision about making the internet reclassifying it, and therefore making it more difficult for ISPs to charge more for faster services. Evidently, the FCC is coming on the side of net neutrality. They're supporting it, and which we applaud them for doing so, because we are for net neutrality here. But according to the story here from TechBit, Verizon's last tiny shred of credibility on net neutrality just died.
And Craig, I don't know how you're going to do this in like 3 minutes, but by the way, it's also techdirt.com.
Okay, TechDirt. Oh, you're right, TechDirt. Right, exactly. Well, we've been really big here on the topic, and this article says Verizon couldn't help itself and sued the FCC. Much to the chagrin of AT&T and Comcast, Verizon hoped to strike.
Actually, and I'm really sorry to cut in, but we have like 2 minutes, so I think the important thing here is to mention the quote here. So it's this is again what Verizon said on their company's policy blog, saying, quote, heavily regulating the internet for the first time is unnecessary and counterproductive. It is unnecessary because all participants in the internet ecosystem support an open internet, and the FCC can address any harmful behavior without taking this radical step. Except, Greg?
Yeah, except that the FCC tried to do that, and Verizon responded by suing them. Like the AT&T Comcast, Verizon makes it clear it would really prefer it if the public supported the net neutrality rules being proposed by Senator John Thune and Representative Fred Upton, in large part because the broadband industry wrote them to ensure that they don't do anything useful. Verizon hopes you'll believe it when the company says it really just wants to settle the issue once and for all. So basically, Verizon sued to overturn weak neutrality rules that most on the ISP side of the aisle were happy with. Now Verizon really wants everybody to support the same kind of flimsy rules that originally sued to destroy, or the company will sue. Verizon's position on the issue has veered well past good humor and into a sort of painful surrealism. So there you go. And we'll keep you apprised of these things as they continue to develop.
Yep. At this point, legislation is being proposed, and now it's just being written, and now we have to see. Like the big fight is over. It's the big fight of, hey, let's get legislation out there. Now it's how is it going to be written, and what is it actually going to do? And so that's what we have to pay attention to now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, we'll thank all of you for tuning in the show tonight. Again, sorry that we didn't have the giftcards.com on the program, but we will reschedule them to be on the show again at a future date because they really do have an interesting a product. Shelly Hunter is going to be on the show. She's the gift card girlfriend and the spokesperson of giftcards.com. I'm sure will have her back on a future show later on in the upcoming months. Now tomorrow night we're going to have a company called LC Technology International, and basically they're going to be here talking about why people lose data and what you can do to prevent from losing important data in the first place, and the importance of making backups. We're going to have David Zimmerman, who's the CEO, president, and founder of LC Technology International,
90 seconds.
on the show with us. You know, it's always been our mantra, you know, backup, backup, and backup. Make backups locally, make them, you know, in the cloud, because if you lose your data, you know, you're going to be in a world of hurt. You don't want to find yourself there. So they're going to be on in the first hour, and then, of course, in hour two, we'll have computer and technology news, more computer technology. Actually, we're going to do more DIY, though. We'll have
another DIY segment because, as everyone knows, February is indeed DIY month.
Yes.
60 seconds.
And that DIY segment will be brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So thank you so much for being with us here tonight. And thanks again to SpeechTrans. Really interesting segment. And don't forget to go to ComputerAmerica.com and enter in all of our contests, because tomorrow night we're going to have another show reminder winner of the week. It's Friday. Yay! Oh, yeah. We'll be giving away a Logitech T650 glass wireless touchpad. Works with the Windows system, beautiful touchpad system, and some lucky person's going to win that tomorrow night. Hopefully it'll be you.
Even me?
Yeah, so until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, and thanks again to everybody watching us here on our live Computer America video streaming page. And Ben and I will see you tomorrow night. So have a good one.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.